I received calls from the late Otumfuo in the December before I got involved. So this is 1998. I was in the UK at the time. And he called me directly. My wife picked up the phone. It was just before Christmas, I remember. And he said to my wife that he wished to speak to me. And so my wife said, "Who's speaking?" He said, "Nana." So my wife too said, "Nana who?" Because we are not traditionalists in that way. We have great respect for the seat of the Asante Hene, being children of Kumewu and from Asante Man, but we're not traditionalists. So it was peculiar, and he explained that he was Otumfuo. So I came to the phone. I've never had dealings with him before. Obviously my father and family have played a big role in different areas and aspects of Asante Man history. And then he just said, "Look, I'm going to speak to you in English. Your father is a brother to me, and my team is dying." He said, "Kotoko is dying." Those were his words to me. "And I've been told that you are the only person who can fix it at this point. I've appointed other chairmen. We've been through different things. But I want you to come and take my team and to save Kotoko." So I was really quite surprised when I had that message from him in that way, because I'm not a football man. I played football, but you can see from my structure that I'm a rugby player. I played rugby at international level. I played it at provincial level in Southern Africa. I played it at top club level in the UK. And I used to box until I broke my hands playing rugby, and I did coaching courses for boxing. So I coached at an amateur level at the Sussex University, at Brighton Boys Club. I've trained up in Oxford at the university team. So there are lots of different passions, but the disciplines that are involved in sports are pretty much the same if it is you're global and you're in the 21st century. No, I don't actually. I mean, he said a number of people had told him, and I can imagine when you are a public figure of the nature and of the high esteem of Otumfuo, that you have people talking to you continuously, people lobbying to you. So it must have taken some courage for His Eminence to call me and to state it in that way, that his team was dying. Clearly, he must have gone through a list of a number of people who would have been more obvious choices and who would have been wanting the job, as opposed to myself, who had a very clear formula in life: sit in Ghana, very low profile, do your business abroad, live your life in a specific kind of way. So that was not what I was looking for at the time. Well, the interesting thing is that there were no such meetings, you see. I mean, after the discussion, I left the UK. I received a call from a very eminent Swiss businessman who informed me that, look, Sepp Blatter was going to South Africa, and they wanted to see whether I could get Super Sports involved to do an interview and to facilitate one or two things. So I did that. Gary Bailey is a good friend of mine, and the Super Sport team in South Africa, I'm very close to them. So I flew to South Africa to facilitate that, and we finished the interview with Sepp Blatter. It was a great success. It was his mission about Africa. It was everything after he had been made the FIFA president and so forth. And then I met some friends of mine. One was Mr. Whelan, who was involved with the Manchester United backroom technical staff. And we were chatting along with Graham Lane and guys at SAFA and people. And I pointed out that, oh, guys, I'm off back to Europe. And they said, okay. And then I said, look, I've received a call from our king to come take his football club, but I don't see how I could do that, because it means a complete different lifestyle change and positioning here. And I remember Mr. Williams said, look, come, don't be silly. Let's go up and have a look at it. You know, I hear Kotoko, this team, Kotoko, as they will say, is meant to be a great team. So we came to Ghana together, and I said, let's just go and look. So we were not meeting anybody. My dear friend Kwabena Yeboah, who I have a great deal of respect for, he breathes Kotoko. He cries when Kotoko loses. He used to clean the shoes of footballers, Opoku Inti and those in the old days. I said to him, Kwabena, let's go to Kumasi. I'm going with Mr. Williams. So we went to Kumasi. And it was the saddest sight that I'd seen, because we went to the training ground. Dogo Moro was there. Ebo Mens was there, Abdul Razak was there. Kotoko was in a bad state, and it was terrible, and I'll get into detail. And maybe that's why I'm called, because Herbert Mensah is never called to a party when it's fun. I'm normally called when things are in dire trouble. That's been the history of my life, because I'm not a conformist to mediocrity. You got to set standards and go by that. So when we went up there that day, it was clear there was 2 footballs. There was no training equipment. There was no national player in any Kotoko team. Under 17, under 20, under 23 Black Stars. Kotoko had been stripped. We shouldn't forget that some of our great players had left Kotoko. They had gone to Jacobson, and the rest had been taken to Hartzeburg. Previous chairman had taken players to Sweden All Blacks. There was no paper trail in terms of what was going on. I received handing over notes from SS Appiah, who was the temporary chief executive before we came, and I still have those handing over notes somewhere, which had, because people find it difficult to believe, it had 2 footballs. Somebody had donated a set of kit, an old player, and there was basically nothing. So playing body, there was nothing. There was no structure, no academy, no system to take it up as there was in the old days. There was no player of quality, real quality. We had Edu Poku, who was like the big thing within Kotoko, but he was not a national player. And of course, Kotoko had failed to honor the first league